For many years, Sofiya and Albert were the picture of success in Port Harcourt. Albert was a billionaire businessman, known for his charm, sharp suits, and expensive cars. He owned a logistics company that transported oil and gas materials across the Niger Delta. Everyone admired him, tall, dark, and confident, with a smile that could light up any room. Sofiya, his wife, was a 35-year-old senior bank staff, calm, graceful, and intelligent. She was the kind of woman who never raised her voice, never boasted, and always treated people with kindness. At work, her colleagues respected her. At home, her neighbors envied her. Together, they looked like a couple who had everything: wealth, love, and peace. But behind the mansion walls, things were slowly changing. Albert had started spending more time outside: business dinners, weekend meetings, and late-night calls. Sofiya noticed the small things first: the perfume smell that wasn't hers, the locked phone, the quick change of topic whenever she entered the room. At first, she told herself she was just overthinking. She believed in her husband, until the day he met Cynthia. Cynthia was Sofiya's close friend from university. She was younger, 28 years old, lively, outspoken, and beautiful. Her long curly hair and light skin always drew attention. Sofiya had introduced her to Albert one weekend when Cynthia came visiting. Albert's eyes lingered longer than they should have that day. He smiled too much, asked too many questions, complimented her more than once. Sofiya saw it, but she brushed it off. She trusted him, or at least she wanted to. Over the following weeks, Cynthia began visiting more often. Sometimes she said it was to see her friend, but Sofiya noticed that her husband always found excuses to be around when she came. He would suddenly abandon his calls and appear in the living room, pretending to be casual. "Cynthia, you're doing well for yourself," he would say. "Have you ever considered starting a business? I can advise you." Cynthia would giggle and reply, "Thank you, sir. I'll think about it." But Sofiya wasn't smiling anymore. She started feeling like a stranger in her own home. One evening, as she served dinner, she caught Albert staring at his phone and smiling. She pretended not to notice, but when he went to shower, curiosity got the better of her. She picked up the phone. A message glowed on the screen. "Cynthia, good night, Albert. You make me laugh more than anyone. Don't let Sofiya see this." Her hands trembled. Her heart felt like it would stop. She couldn't believe it. Her best friend and her husband. That night, she didn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling until dawn, her pillow wet with tears. The next day, Sofiya confronted Albert. "Albert, are you seeing Cynthia behind my back?" He didn't deny it. He just looked at her with cold eyes and said, "Why are you spying on my phone? If you respected me, you wouldn't do that." Her heart broke at his words. He didn't even try to lie or apologize. Instead, he stood up, buttoned his shirt, and said calmly, "Sofiya, I'm tired. You've changed. You've become boring, predictable. Cynthia makes me feel alive again." Sofiya stared at him in shock. "She's my friend. How could you?" Albert shrugged. "People fall out of love, Sofiya. You'll be fine." He walked away as if her pain meant nothing. Days passed. Albert stopped coming home early. He stopped talking to her. He even started taking Cynthia to public events, dinners, charity galas, business parties, the same events Sofiya once attended proudly as his wife. Within months, the gossip spread like wildfire. Albert has left his wife for a younger woman. Sofiya's world collapsed. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every corner of the house reminded her of the man who once called her "my queen." Her colleagues noticed the change. "Madam Sofiya, are you okay?" they asked gently. She always smiled and said, "I'm fine." But she wasn't. Not until one night, when she sat alone in her car, staring at her reflection in the rearview mirror, that an idea came to her, a dangerous, daring, yet brilliant idea. If Albert could betray her so easily, then he didn't deserve to know peace. Sofiya didn't want revenge out of anger. She wanted him to see what he had done. She wanted to expose the heartless man behind the charming smile. She began planning. She quietly withdrew some savings from her personal account and contacted a trusted colleague, a retired police officer named Mr. Moses. He was loyal and discreet. "I need your help," she told him. "I want to disappear, just for a while." Mr. Moses frowned. "Disappear? You mean fake a kidnapping?" Sofiya nodded. "Exactly. No one can know, not even my family." He studied her face carefully. "Are you sure, madam? This is dangerous." She sighed. My husband stopped loving me long ago. He needs to see what he threw away. After a long pause, the old officer agreed to help her, on one condition. She would stay safe in a private house far away from the city and contact him daily. They arranged everything perfectly. Her car would be found abandoned near a bridge, her phone smashed beside it. A short note would be left behind. "Don't look for me." By the following week, the plan was set. That night, Sofiya packed a small bag, wrote a letter for her younger sister to keep her calm, and disappeared from Port Harcourt. The news spread fast. Bank manager missing. Wife of billionaire disappears mysteriously. Albert was shocked at first. He called her relatives, her office, even the police. Everyone searched. Billboards showed her photo. But something was strange. 2 weeks later, Albert stopped searching. He stopped posting about her. He stopped going to the police station, and 3 months later, he remarried. To Cynthia. Sofiya saw the wedding photos online from her hiding place. Her heart sank, but she wasn't surprised. She had expected it. She watched him smiling next to the same woman who destroyed her marriage. They looked happy, too happy, but Sofiya knew that kind of happiness built on betrayal never lasted. She closed her laptop and whispered, "Time will tell." At first, life was sweet for Albert and Cynthia. He bought her jewelry, took her to Dubai, and flaunted her on social media. He gave her access to all his credit cards and introduced her as the woman who brought peace into my life. But peace didn't last. Within a year, the oil company Albert's logistics firm depended on went bankrupt after a corruption scandal. Major contracts were cancelled. His business started bleeding money. He tried to stay calm, but soon the banks started calling. Then came the tax investigations. Then came the lawsuits from partners demanding their share. One by one, his properties were seized. The house in Banana Island, the beach villa, even the cars. Cynthia's attitude changed quickly. Gone were the sweet smiles and soft kisses. She became cold, distant, and demanding. "Albert," she snapped one evening, "how can you expect me to live without comfort? I didn't marry a poor man." Albert stared at her, exhausted. "Cynthia, I'm trying. I just need time." "Time?" she scoffed. "You think I'll sit here and suffer with you?" She packed her things that night and left. By morning, divorce papers were waiting on his desk. Albert sat in the empty living room, his head buried in his hands. The same man who once had everything, power, money, attention, now had nothing but silence. Months later, Sofiya decided it was time. She returned to Port Harcourt quietly, no longer hiding. Her hair was shorter, her face brighter. She had spent those months rebuilding herself, reading, traveling, praying, healing. She no longer wanted revenge. She wanted closure. One evening, she went to a small restaurant she and Albert once loved. She sat at a corner table, sipping tea, when a familiar voice said softly behind her, "Sofiya?" She turned slowly. Albert stood there, thinner, older, his once polished shoes worn out. His eyes widened, as if he had seen a ghost. "It's you," he whispered. "You're alive." "Yes," she said calmly, "very much alive." He sat down opposite her, trembling. "Where have you been?" "Everyone thought you were dead." "Sofiya, I looked for you." She raised an eyebrow. "Really? Before or after you married my friend?" He lowered his eyes, ashamed. "I made a mistake. I thought you were gone forever. I didn't know what to do." She smiled sadly. "You didn't wait to find out. You moved on quickly." He buried his face in his hands. "Please, Sofiya, you have every right to hate me. I lost everything. Cynthia left me. My company collapsed. I have nothing." Sofiya looked at him quietly. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she reached into her bag and placed a folded paper on the table. "What's this?" he asked. "The proof that I was never kidnapped," she said softly. "I faked it. I wanted to see how long it would take for you to replace me. You didn't disappoint." Albert's eyes widened in disbelief. You faked it? Why?" "To show the world who you truly were," she said, "to see if love meant anything to you. You failed the test, Albert, and in trying to gain everything, you lost it all." He covered his face, sobbing quietly. "Please, Sofiya, I know I've hurt you, but I've learned my lesson. I've changed." She studied him, the proud billionaire reduced to tears. Once upon a time she had begged him for love, now he was begging her for forgiveness. "I forgive you," she said softly. He looked up, surprised. You do? Yes, she said, her eyes warm, because forgiveness is freedom. But that doesn't mean we'll be together again. I've found peace, and I'm not ready to lose it. Tears streamed down his face. Sofiya, please. She stood, leaving some money on the table. Goodbye, Albert. I hope you find peace too. Then she walked out, calm, graceful, and free. Months passed. Sofiya found joy again, not in wealth, but in purpose. She started a foundation that helped widows and single mothers rebuild their lives. Her story became an inspiration in her community. The story of a woman who chose strength over bitterness. One day, while speaking at a charity event, a journalist asked her, Mrs. Sofiya, if you could go back and change anything, would you? She smiled gently. No, because sometimes losing something false helps you find something real. Yourself. Far away, Albert watched that interview on a small television in his rented apartment. His eyes glistened with tears. He whispered, You were always the best thing in my life. He turned off the TV and sat in silence, remembering the woman who once stood by him through everything. The woman he lost to greed and pride. Love built on lies will always crumble. Betrayal may shine for a moment, but truth lasts forever. Sofiya's pain became her power. Her fake kidnapping wasn't revenge, it was revelation. And in the end, Albert's loss became the mirror that showed him the truth about himself. Sometimes karma doesn't come in storms. It comes quietly, through the people you once took for granted. If you were in Sofiya's condition, would you have forgiven him? What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? If you like the story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.